This presentation discusses the concept of ethical fading when looking at evil and fairness in the world. The reading that will be discussed is Raymond E. Spears on the use of the concept of fairness in the world of vaccines and vaccination from 2013. An important thing to start with is the fact that ethical fading is a mode of administrative evil. Ethical fading refers to the limited capacity that humans have to maintain their focus on all elements of any given problem. This happens when individuals, groups, or institutions focus heavily on one aspect of a decision, such as profitability or growth. Some other things to know before we get started include the fact that evil refers to a behaviour that deprives innocent people from their humanity, from small-scale assaults to murder, and an institution is an organisation founded for a religious, educational, professional, or social purpose. This is a simple example of ethical fading where singer Zara Larsson has participated in a paid partnership with Nike to promote the new Air Max Dual shoes. This advertisement was posted to Facebook in 2017 and does not inform the viewers of the unethical practices that take place to create these shoes. Nike has been accused of using unfair child labour in sweatshops as well as using toxic chemicals that are very harmful to our environment and their workers. This is a clear example of ethical fading as a company has focused their attention more on the profitability and growth of the company rather than noticing the ethical issues such as child labour that require an ethical judgment. Zara Larsson has put aside her personal morals and ethics to support an unethical company like Nike as she has been given a monetary reward, meaning she has maintained her focus only on money in this situation rather than the ethical issues, which is an example of ethical fading. The discussion about fairness in the world of institutions is relevant to this quote from the chosen reading. An alternative but not exclusive view is that to be fair is a way of expressing a virtue, as in the Aristotelian and virtue of justice that is also highlighted in a modern synthesis called principalism as expedited in the Belmont Report. To simplify the quote, it is saying that by being fair you are expressing a virtue, and virtue refers to a behaviour that shows high moral standards. This quote encourages us to think about how we represent ourselves by being fair and showing our morals, and is highly relevant to Nike's unfairness showing their lack of morals by using sweatshops and chemicals that are harmful to our environment and their workers, just to obtain a short-term organisational advantage. A complex example that I have chosen that represents ethical fading is the lack of media coverage on animal testing for vaccines. This particular example is an online article by Nature.com that tells us that the US is boosting funding for the breeding of monkeys for the use of vaccine testing. This kind of information isn't spoken about in the media, and articles like this are only found when actively searching. This is an example of ethical fading performed by multiple institutions as they have shifted their focus from the ethical issue, which is animal testing, in order to create a vaccine and ultimately profit from it. We're able to see here how moral codes operate among social groups and professional groups, and how these institutions have gone against certain codes which can be seen as unfair to our society and lead these institutions to become seemingly evil as they've harmed animals for their own benefit. This example fits into Zizek's category of systemic violence as it is an action or collection of actions of an individual, group, or institution and consists of subtle forms of coercion that sustain relations of domination and exploitation. When we think about it from a different perspective, these companies are testing on animals to create vaccines safe for human use, which is understandable, but is that really fair? The workers within these institutions are victims of ethical fading as they have pushed their personal ethics aside to perform these harmful actions to animals for an institution to gain money. Here's a question to think about. Is it fair that to create vaccines for human use, animals have to suffer harmful actions for it to be possible? Do you think that there is a more ethical way of testing vaccines?